Hey, Miles Beckler here with milesbeckler.com. This video, we are going to look at how to get your ad set level set up inside of the Power Editor for a successful Facebook pay-per-click campaign. Now, if you're just joining me on this one, you should have a campaign set up already, and if you don't, go check out the last video that's in the description here. So here we are inside of the Power Editor. And you can see I've got the campaign set up that I saved in the last video, and it automatically started the ad set. Before we jump into that, a quick kind of another note or tour around the Power Editor. We're able to manipulate things here inside of the Power Editor, and when we want this to go live, we have to click the green Review Changes button up here. Now, you'll notice I'm on the campaign level and I clicked Ad Sets. It automatically sets this ad setup with a tick box here, and with this checkbox or tick box clicked, it wants me to click apply, and now everything's locked in on this ad set. So when I have ads here, it'll only show the ads that are available to the ad set. So if you're kind of looking around for something, you can't see it, you might want to click this X because you might have a different campaign or ad set. And you can see on the campaign level it does the same thing. I can click there and click apply, and now it's only going to show me ad sets and ads that are associated with the campaign that I have locked in here. If you only have one like I do, it doesn't matter, right? It's the same amount. But when you have like 12 campaigns and 30 different ad sets and 100 different ads, you really need to make sure you're kind of locking in through this apply the ad set that you want to manipulate. So we have the campaign level, ad set, and ad level. This video is about the ad set. And if you're looking for like, where do I manipulate it? Over here on the right, we've got this little pen or crayon. You simply click that and it slides out. You click it and it goes away. This is how we manipulate things inside of the Power Editor. So I'll jump to the campaign level. You'll notice it's open on the campaign level. If I want to close it, I close it there. All right, so that's enough kind of management of the Power Editor, but it's important to know what we're doing here on the ad set level is we're taking our campaign we created in the last video and we're identifying who the Facebook users we want the ads that are inside of this campaign and ad set to display to. This is also a great time for us to consider our split tests if we want to split test age or gender or the location of the individual, etc. That all can be managed inside of here. I'm going to do what I consider a basic setup inside of the ad management, inside of the ad set level, just to give you some ideas of how to get this going for yourself. Whether you have custom audiences, lookalike audiences, which we've covered in previous videos, this is really kind of the rubber meets the road point, not to negate the power of copywriting in the ads, which we'll cover in a future video, but this is the magic of the Facebook pay-per-click marketing system and of Power Editor. So let's dig in. The ad set name, we can come back to this because we want to get it targeted. For example, if we're doing US only and we're going to focus this ad set on men and we're going to go 25 to 55, and then if we're going to split test this against women of the same age, we would then duplicate this ad set and we would change it to women and we would change that down here. So we do want to use kind of identifiers. I don't set this up first. I usually come back to the ad set name at the end based on how I get this going. Budget and schedule is the first thing we see. What I like to run starting out on a campaign is $30 per day. I think a $30 a day budget gives me a great reach. It helps me get good data on my split tests, and honestly, it's under $1,000 a month, so it's easy for me to duplicate these out. I can run 4, 5, or 6 different campaign or different ad sets at $30 a day, and I'm still going to be, under $5,000 a month, which is a kind of a safe, comfortable place. Now, if those numbers scare you, know that I've been doing this for a while. I've spent tens upon tens upon tens of thousands of dollars in this system, so I'm obviously on the advanced side. For you getting started, I think $30 a day is a great budget to start with. You can always turn it off. It's pretty easy. So we want to set up the schedule date. I like to start it the next morning from when I'm manipulating it. I don't necessarily like it to start right away. So today I'm in a different time zone. I'm on the other side of the world, so this is kind of goofy. So I would say the 25th, which would be tomorrow in the US, and I would say 8 o'clock a.m. Let's say 8:50. And I would change this to AM. And the reason I like to do this is I like to get a full day with my budget, or about a full day with my budget, versus starting midday. It just helps me get kind of better data from the get-go. So I set up the next morning. It also allows me to be here, awake, coherent, with a cup of coffee in my hand, kind of ready to adapt, adjust, and track what's going on. Set your end date. Let's say we want to run this for a month. I would just simply click there, set it out to December. We'll run it to, let's say, the day before Christmas Eve. And I would end it at, let's do 8 o'clock p.m. Right, super simple stuff here, nothing really crazy. You do have the ability on the ad scheduling to run them on a schedule. So let's say that you know your target market is going to be awake during certain hours, or you want to catch them when they're home from work. You can run on a schedule, but you do need to change it to lifetime budget. So what we would do, it automatically does a calculation, but for this month, $30 a day for 30 days, it doesn't automatically do that calculation. I'd say $900. So I've got my budget set to $900. Now I can run it on a schedule. And this is pretty funky, kind of in a good way, I guess. I don't know why I said funky. But what you can see here is we're able to schedule different days differently, right? So if I want Monday, 6 a.m. to noon, and then again at 6 p.m. till about 10 o'clock p.m. and I can adjust each day the same, or I can come down here to these main ones and I can just adjust all 7 days at once and really get specific on what time of day my ads are displaying. And if I want to go change it for Saturday and Sunday, let's say I'll run it later on these days. I can just kind of adjust them as needed. So I don't necessarily recommend you get too deep into this at first, because you don't necessarily have data to tell you when the best time to run your ads are. So we can run the ads all the time to get going, and we can set it back to a daily budget, and we'll set it back to 30. All right, let's go down to the next step here. The audiences. This is really kind of where the magic meets the rubber meets the road, and this is some of the coolest part of it, because in the previous video we talked about custom audiences and setting up lookalike audiences. I'll link to those videos in the description because this is really powerful. This is where we enter these custom audiences. So let's say I've got a couple in here. I think I did one that was MB, right? So I did one, and you can see here I've got, and I set all this up in another video so you can follow along with this process. But I've got a customer list, and I built lookalike audiences off of my customer list. Now what I want to do in this is I want to add my lookalike audiences, and I want to exclude my customer list. I'll show you exactly how to do that. So now I've got them all added here. And the way it's set up is I'm going to show my ad to the people who look like my customers and to my customers. But since they're already my customers, I don't really want them to see my ads. So I click exclude this audience. So now what it's going to do is it's going to show it to these people who look like my customers, but it will not show it to my customers. And this is a really powerful way for you to set up your campaigns. So if you have a prospect list and a customer list, you can also exclude your prospect list, or you can show it to your prospects and not show it to your customers to try to re-engage them to make a purchase and encourage them to become a customer. So the gist of the audience level is you really want to show it to people you want to take the action based on the ad set, but you want to exclude the people who have already taken that action, which is what we've done here. And I get to move down to the next level. So locations, this is obviously very specific. You should already have this research done from your customer avatar research and from I've covered this like very, very, very in depth at this point through these videos. So let's say I know, obviously, because I've got it here. So the countries I'm targeting my lookalike are Australia, the UK, and the US. So I'm going to go duplicate that here, and you can get really granular on this. You can focus on people in specific cities. You can focus on people who live in cities but are traveling in other places. I don't like to go that deep. I like to keep it pretty much excuse me 1 second. I like to keep it country level based because I want to cast kind of a wide net and find all of my people in the locations. But like I was saying, you could say everyone here, people who live here, people who are recently here, people traveling here. For me, everyone there, I'll even flip it over to everyone who lives in this location just for fun, right? So you can see it's always updating off of everything I do on how big my audience is on the left. So I've got 2.6 million people who fit this and don't fit this, etc., etc., etc. Keep going down and it gives us the age. Now, we can run this wide open on the age and wide open on the gender and allow our data on who actually takes action to help us refine this. But from my previous kind of research, I should know from my time inside of the Facebook Audience Insights tool, I should have a clear idea of where my customers are, especially if I've uploaded my lists and I've run my lists, my customer lists, or my prospect lists through my Audience Insight tool, which we did in another video. So let's just say that my data shows, I'm not guessing here, my data shows specifically that 45-year-old to 64-year-old, because I don't want the 7-year-olds, notice the plus at the end of 65 plus, and I will say men, right? And I'm using this as an example. I know my target market, I know who I'm focused on specifically, and you should know this about your audience, and you should let the data drive these decisions. Now you'll notice I dropped that reach down significantly to 78,000 people. Let me click women and see what happens here. So a little adaptation for the video. Again, this is for example's sake, and I know that the audiences that these are based on are highly women. So Facebook brought me a lot more women to this lookalike audience. And now you can see I've got 1.4 million people in this audience segment. There's really two ways you can go about it here when you're running on lookalike audiences. You don't have to put any insights. You don't have to put anything specifically down here for the gender, for the demographics, because you can rely on Facebook's lookalike system. Now I do that after what I call cherry pick the low-hanging fruit. Right? So I want these people to look like my best customers. We got that checked. I want them to be the same age as my best customers. I want them to be the same gender as my best customers. I want them to speak the same language as my best customers, because I want this ad campaign to have the highest likelihood of working from the get-go. Okay, moving right along. This video is going to be comprehensive. There's no way to get around a short video here, so thank you for sticking with me. We're about 13 minutes in, and I'm going to end it when we get to the bottom of this list. So the next thing that we get to do is add our interests that we got from the Facebook Audience Insight tool. This is further focusing our people. And if you haven't watched that Audience Insight tool video, you must do that before you run your campaigns, because that's how we focus our campaigns. And we should have our notepad that I covered next to us, our legal pad, should have 30 specific ideas or interests that we're going to add here based on brands and blog titles and other fan pages, etc. So I'm going to add a few that I know will work. Tony Robbins is one we covered, is an interest. And again, you would just keep going through this process, and I will add some of the other ones that it automatically suggests. I don't recommend you do this. I recommend you go off of what you wrote down on your list, and you're going to keep with this until you have 30 interests in here. For the sake of kind of time, I'm going to add a few more really quickly. And Jim Rohn, Stephen Covey, perfect. So personal development is what I covered in that last Audience Insight video. That's why I'm sticking with the personal insight here. And you'll notice what has happened to our reach is we have really focused it now. The fact that we've got it focused on these demographics, I'm going to switch it to all, probably bump it up by about 20-30,000. Not even, so it is all women at this point. So we're really targeted, right? We took what was an audience of over 2 million people, and we have filtered this down to the 140,000 people who are, one, most similar to our customers. Two, they're the same age range and the same locations as most of our customers. Three, we have now made sure that they already like our biggest competitors. That was from the Steal Your Competitors Customers video in the Audience Insight tool. Now we have a really highly targeted audience that we're going to show our advertisement to, and we know these people like personal development, which is my niche that we're using for example purposes, because they've already liked these other pages. They've liked at least one of these 30 pages that we had on our notepad that we wrote down and we've added here. So this is really targeted. What do I want this number to be? I really shoot for about 100 to 300,000, I think is a great target. If I'm in the million plus range when I'm getting started, I'm too broad. If I've been running ads for a while and I'm expanding my audience and I have a funnel that I know converts, I'm converting 30 to 40% of my clicks to subscribers, and I'm converting 2 to 3% of my subscribers to one-time offer purchases, then I'm willing to grow this reach into a million plus. But until I have those numbers dialed, I want to keep this small because I want to be hyper targeted and hyper relevant with my message, with my free offer and my one-time offer. I want it to be really focused on people who I know have a real high likelihood of liking what I'm offering. Moving right along, we're going to keep going here. The connections, I don't really add a connection type generally. We do want them to be actually, if you wanted to only display your ads to people who like your page, you can add that here, but I'm not going to add that in because that's going to cut this down to next to nothing. I want to reach people who don't know about me yet, but they like my competitors and they match my customer profile. So we're going to skip that and we're going to kind of keep going. Now, on the bottom, this is huge. Automatic placements recommended is going to waste your money. You need to click edit placements and you have to at minimum remove the audience network, right? I personally don't even really like marketing to Instagram yet. I have not found it to be profitable. I'm not saying it's not. If you're in the fitness niche or certain niches, it will work for you, but it just has not been profitable for me. So I remove that based on my past data. This little drop down here is an important one. You notice there's feeds and there's right column. So the right column are the tiny ads that fit over in the right under your kind of like updated people of who's doing what, who just commented on what. I don't like showing them there. I want it to show up in the feed. This is the big image that shows up right in the middle of the timeline. It's a sponsored post. People are scrolling through on their device or they're scrolling down on their computer, and my ad shows up just like one of their friends or family members' posts on Facebook. It's exactly what I want it to show. It costs more for this, but I'm willing to pay for that because it's the kind of exposure I want for my ads. And down here, finally, we get to the last step here, which is how do we optimize for the ad delivery? On every one, depending on the campaign type, these are going to be different. For us, starting out with a cost per click campaign, we want to start out with the link clicks, which is recommended. CPM is impressions. You get charged every 1,000 impressions. An impression is simply when they display it, but I don't want them simply to display it. That's very easy for them to do. I want Facebook to help me get clicks because I want these people to click and go to my free offer and enter the top of my funnel. So this incentivizes Facebook to find out of this 100,000 people, the ones who will actually click on my ad because I want them to click. I don't want them just to look. I want them to click. When do I get charged? Link click CPC is exactly when I get charged. This means I'm going to know for a fact I'm getting either a 30-cent click or a 50-cent click or a 75-cent click, and every time I get a click I pay Facebook for that click, not just for the displays. And then the delivery type, we're going to go standard here. Actually, we got to go under more options. No, link click. All right, perfect. Impressions is the other one. We want the link clicks. And here, the delivery type, standard. I sometimes play with accelerated. I would say this is the danger zone for you as you're starting out. If you're not getting enough displays, you can set it to accelerated, but what can happen is Facebook can spend a lot of your money really fast. It's essentially an auction, and if you have a low bid at the auction, you could say, hey, accelerate me when my 25 cent per click bid goes, and they'll give you all the ads clicks they can when the bids get down to your 25 cent per click level. But the challenge is you could spend $30, $50, $70, $100 like that. I've actually spent like $800 overnight on accident. I only made about $200, $250 back on that. So I use this from time to try to juice my campaigns, but sometimes it bites me in the ass, and I would highly recommend just sticking with the standard delivery. Let's go back up here real quick. So one thing I skipped, and again, they've moved this, is these advanced options. So we have the ability to kind of tweak what devices get to see our ads, right? So one of the tricks I've heard is people going on the iOS devices, and you can see iPads, iPods, and iPhones. You can remove the iPads, you can remove the iPods, you can add back the iPads if you want. You should do this based on what you know that your kind of subscribers and your customers want. Another kind of cool hack that some people do is to only display to like iPhone 5s and better. So you can enter literally all of the iPhone 5s. I did a 5th generation iPod Touch, and then all of the 6s and the 7s. And what you're doing with this is essentially saying, have these people bought a new phone? Have these people spent $500 to $700 on a new device in the last, I don't know, couple of years, right? How long have the 5s been out? I guess 3 years. And what this does is it kind of like keeps from showing to people who are still on like Apple iPhone 2s, they haven't updated their phone forever because they're cheap, and the odds of someone that cheap purchasing from you go down significantly. But what you're going to notice is our reach is now tiny, right? We're only 49,000 people. So we might not want to do that. We might want to leave it set to all mobile devices and keep this up to 100,000. If you're sitting at like 500,000 and you play with those and you get it down to 150,000, might be worth it. In this scenario, I want the reach more than I want specific people on specific devices. We can go back and take care of that later. So one other thing we missed here is the bid amount. And on the bid amount, it has it set to automatic, and Facebook's going to set the bid that's going to help us get the most clicks at the best price. I don't trust Facebook. I don't trust Zuckerberg. I know that Facebook's interests are focused mostly on the investors, and they care more about getting good return on investment for their investors than they do about making this a positive experience for me as an advertiser. So I like to take control of my bidding, and you'll notice these cost per bids appear to be absolutely ridiculous, right? Like I would never run a $3 per click campaign. I don't even run campaigns for $1 a click. What I do here in this situation is I'm going to put in about 85 cents per click, and I'm going to run it. And I know for a fact that Facebook's like, yo, buddy, like you're way underpriced here. And this is where what I would do is I will run this campaign, and I'll monitor it for the first day. If I get 0 clicks in the first day, I'm way underbidding. What I would then try is setting it to accelerated, and I would monitor it very, very closely. Every half hour to hour, I'm refreshing my stats to see if I've got any clicks at all at an accelerated pace at this lower price. And what I would do is I would end up creeping this forward until I see that the accelerator is just cranking out clicks and I'm getting lots and lots and lots of clicks. And my ad spend will kind of spike in a half hour, hour, 2 hours. And by spike, I mean I'll spend $10 or $12, right? It's going to spend a good portion of my daily budget relatively quickly. When I see that happen, I change it back to the standard delivery and I continue to monitor it and see if I've found what is that lowest price per click I can pay to still get clicks and still get exposure on their ad platform without having to pay their redonkulous prices that they seem to advertise. Also, I've got the targeting that I put in here, this is really seriously affecting it. Remember, I was just clicking on their suggested targeting. Well, these are the most popular targeting that they show everyone. Again, if you went through the previous video where we went through the steal your customers or steal your competitors' customers using the Audience Insights tool, you would not be relying on the ones they recommend. You did the grunt work and you found a list of 30 different interests that no one else, none of your advertising competitors know of these people. So the fact that Facebook recommends all of these people to every advertiser in my niche is why there's so much competition. And the fact that there's so much competition is why this suggested bid is an out of control price. So when you enter your 30 that you found from Amazon, you found from personal research, and you found from just knowing your audience, this number, the odds of this number being a lot closer to $1 a click or under $1 a click are much higher. I'll see $1.20, $1.30 per click in this range up to $2.50, and I'm constantly still getting clicks for as low as 40, 50, 60 cents. It takes a little bit of fiddling with these kind of optimization and delivery options, but for me, that's what I like to do because I've got the time, and again, I'm just trying to find the low-hanging fruit, the cheap clicks that convert and turn into customers, and when I find it, I just let it run and I don't tweak with it anymore. When my numbers start working, I stop playing with things and I just let Facebook run my $30 a day or whatever my budget is. So at this point, wow, we're like 26 minutes in. We have covered in depth the entire ad set level, which is really powerful here. So the one thing you might want to do at the end here is, based on what we did on all of these kind of settings, we may want to come up to the top, right, and go here and say, so it was US, GB, AU, all 50, what was it, 45 to 64. And then you could even say like iPhones 5 plus, right? So if that's what you ended up doing in this target, that's what you could set it as. And then what we have the ability to do is actually duplicate this ad set. So you get all the exact same numbers. It duplicates your budget, so you would spend double. But what you can then do is, let's say you could set it up to, let's say we had this one set to men and we go set the duplicate up to women, and we're literally running at the same time the same campaign towards men and the same campaigns towards women, so we can see through the data, are we more profitable advertising to women or men? And when we have data that shows one of those two demographics, one of those two genders is a better deal for us as an advertiser, we then know all of our future ads run only to that gender, and it saves us a lot of money down the line, so we're not showing ads to the gender that has a smaller likelihood of taking the actions that they want. Got pretty geeky here, to be honest with you, and that's okay, because if you're really in this level of running these kinds of ads and getting these going, it gets kind of geeky. I'll be perfectly honest with you here. So what we would do here is review our changes and upload. I'm not going to do that yet because we're going to go on to the next step here, which is create ads, and that's the next video of where we're going. So we've got these ads, we've got this ad set all set up. That's enough for this video. So again, I'm Miles Beckler with milesbeckler.com. Thank you very much. I commend you on going through this far. Most people never get this far inside of their marketing, and I can tell you from 100% personal experience, getting to know and getting comfortable with this tool combined with optimizing and managing and building my funnels has totally revolutionized my business and has taken me from kind of a entrepreneur and someone who had a side hustle that paid enough for his lifestyle to being a successful business owner. I now can measure my investment in advertising, and I can measure my return on that investment, and I'm able to scale my business online thanks to literally these few tools that we've covered here. So if you like the video, give me a thumbs up here in Facebook, leave me comments if you have any questions, and subscribe to get the next video when it comes out, because we are going in to actually create some ads once this is done. Thanks again for your time. Do appreciate it.